7 rappers who put on for their city. Before social media and the internet existed, hip-hop was relegated to small urban communities around the country. The infamous East Coast and West Coast divide that ruled hip-hop throughout the 90s was mostly due to the simple fact that for a long time, New York City and Los Angeles, California were the only 2 hubs for mainstream hip-hop. As hip-hop became more popular in the early 90s, these hubs expanded throughout both California and New York, but remained confined to their states. In the late 90s, success of several southern groups, such as Outkast, began to expand the Dirty South, and laid the foundation for hip-hop to spread in areas such as Atlanta and Houston. However, in 2022, the music industry, and the world in general, is drastically different than it was just decades before. The creation of the internet and rise of social media has given artists all over the world access to an infinite amount of potential fans, as long as they can figure out how to reach them. As a result, hip-hop is no longer centralized in small hubs around the country, and artists from all over are breaking through into the mainstream and telling the world where they grew up. Today, we'll take a look at some artists who never forgot where they came from or lost their love for their city. Before we get started, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Now, here are 7 rappers that put on for their city. Number 7, Kendrick Lamar. Compton is one of the most notorious cities in hip-hop, having spawned an insane amount of notable artists, such as all of NWA, The Game, and Roddy Ricch. However, few people have been able to tell Compton's story like Kendrick Lamar. Widely considered to be one of the best living lyricists in the game, Kendrick is the only rapper to ever win the Pulitzer Prize. Many critics credit him with helping revitalize conscious hip-hop, and his album, Good Kid, Mad City, is considered to be one of the best rap albums of all time. While Kendrick does not always paint Compton in a positive light as he unravels his tale of growing up in the city, his music was able to reignite discussion about the plight of the black community. Despite the struggles that he's faced, Kendrick has been vocal about the fact that he still loves and respects Compton. He's known to visit schools and hospitals in the city, telling Hip Hop DC that he felt it was important to represent and revisit Compton in order to give its youth hope. There's a lot of kids that grew up the way I did and feel like there's no way out. We don't get a lot of celebrities coming to the city and saying, you can do it too. This is a contribution that is not unrecognized by the city. The local government has been making an effort to reduce crime and provide social programs for its youth. In 2016, Lamar received the key to the city, with the mayor crediting Kendrick as a representation of the city's evolution and progress. Number 6, 21 Savage. Despite his 2019 arrest by ICE agents, 21 Savage was raised in Atlanta. Having come to America from the UK at only 7 years old, Savage was raised by his single mother in Decatur, Georgia, which is just outside the metropolitan Atlanta area. It was there that Savage joined a gang and later was shot 6 times on his 21st birthday. This event helped Savage pivot away from gang activity and towards rapping, and he found success with his EP, Savage Mode. Though Savage has done plenty for the visibility of his city simply by constantly rapping about it, he's also chosen to take another approach for putting on Atlanta: charity. Ever since his big break, Savage has been an involved philanthropist in Atlanta, holding events ranging from school supply drives to funding financial literacy courses for high school students. In 2019, Savage even partnered with the local government to expand the program into a free online course for children around the state. And unlike many other rappers who find huge success, Savage has chosen to not leave his city. The rapper still resides in Atlanta, although his house is admittedly located in a safer part of the city than where he originally grew up. I guess you can take the savage out of the streets, but you can't take the streets out of the savage. Number 5, Kanye West. To say that Chicago hip-hop was unknown before Kanye West would be unfair. The city has a thriving local scene, and a few artists such as Common and Talib Kweli have broken into the national stage. However, prior to Kanye West, Chicago had never produced a superstar that indicated the rich creative output the city would demonstrate over the next 2 decades. As many know, Kanye left Chicago for New York, and he worked as a producer for Jay-Z's Rockefeller Records. After a long battle, Kanye was finally also signed as a rapper and released The College Dropout, the first record of a trilogy that is widely considered to be one of the best album runs in hip-hop history. The release instantly made Kanye a star, a status that only increased meteorically with each successive release. Throughout the trilogy of albums, Kanye not only name-dropped Chicago, he brought attention to the social, economic, and political landscape of the city and the black experience. A clever mix of popular culture, clever punchlines, and true social commentary, West laid the foundation for future Chicago rappers. Artists like Chance the Rapper, Lupe Fiasco, and even Jeremiah all owe their success in part to Kanye's work. And let's not forget that the rapper was partially responsible for bringing the nickname Chi-Town into the collective consciousness. Number 4, J. Cole. There are few rappers who are more open about their love for their hometown than J. Cole. After all, the rapper shouts out Fayetteville, North Carolina on nearly every song. He titled his most popular album after the address of his childhood home, and he even named his very own record label Dreamville, after the nickname he gave the city early on in his career. Cole has been extremely vocal about Fayetteville and the influence it had on his career trajectory. Motivated to leave because of the way many residents were sucked into remaining there forever, Cole was also inspired to return to the city once he found success to help the residents. Believing that the city was filled with talents and ingenuity that exceeded the means of the average resident, Cole, like 21 Savage, has made an effort to change that. Not only has the rapper founded the Dreamville Foundation, which provides disaster relief and housing assistance to Fayetteville residents, but also converted his childhood home into a shelter to help struggling and abused mothers. Finally, Cole has been a major asset to the tourism revenue of both Fayetteville and Raleigh. He has held the annual Dreamville Fest in the city, bringing over 40,000 tourists to the area. Number 3, Drake. Today, the dark Toronto sound is so well known that it has transcended regional influence and is used by artists all over the world. However, before 2010, Toronto was producing extremely few successful artists, especially rappers. But when Drake rose to fame after a happenstance discovery by the son of record mogul Jay Prince, Toronto was suddenly receiving a ton of attention. All the time, Drake was collaborating with another relatively unknown artist called The Weeknd. Together, the two created an edgy, nocturnal feeling sound that elevated Toronto to the mainstream and laid the foundation for a plethora of artists, such as Black, Bryson Tiller, and Brent Faiyaz. After the release of Drake's sophomore album Take Care, he was catapulted to international stardom. Each successive release would launch him higher and higher, bringing us to 2022, where Drake is objectively one of the most successful entertainers of our generation. Throughout his 10-plus year career, Drake has been relatively transparent about his range of influences. His early music was also inspired by the time he spent in Houston, Atlanta, and Las Vegas. But his main focus has always been proving to the world that Toronto is more than cold winters and patois slang. During the promotion of his upcoming album Views, Drake helped popularize the term The Six, referring to Toronto's 416 and 647 area codes. The term stuck and is used widely by the public to reference the area. Since then, a variety of Toronto artists have gone on to enjoy major success, such as Tory Lanez and Party Next Door. Number 2, Chief Keef. Chicago is the only city to make it on this list twice, which is in part because of how incredibly diverse the musical scene is. And even though Chief Keef was a mere 16 years old when he made his musical debut, the rapper changed Chicago and rap forever. Keef is widely credited as one of the main originators of Chicago drill, a hyper-aggressive, violent subset of trap music that aims to paint a candid picture of life in the crime-ridden slums of Chicago. Nearly all of Keef's earlier music deals with the realities of life in Chicago. The projects in which Keef was raised were located on O Block, one of the most dangerous blocks in Chicago. Keef's raps brought O Block into the public eye and gained it mainstream attention, so much so that Chicago police had to issue a formal statement asking rap tourists not to visit the block because of potential victimization. Despite eventually leaving Chicago for the safety of California due to several ongoing rivalries, Keef has continued to represent his city and play a large role in the success of upcoming talent. He is the founder and co-owner of Glow Gang, a Chicago-based label that has signed several notable talents, including the late Fredo Santana and upcoming artist Tato. One thing will always be true: Chicago loves Sosa. Number 1, Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is arguably one of the most famous and influential rappers of the modern era, if not all time. A constant staple of GOAT conversations, and one of the only rappers who has maintained consistent relevancy for the better part of 2 decades, Lil Wayne is a household name, which is why it can be kind of shocking that he's from New Orleans, a city that had barely produced any notable talent before him, and has still yet to produce a superstar after him. However, if you know Lil Wayne, you probably already know where he's from. He never stops representing the city. New Orleans is a culturally rich city that has seen constant struggle. It was devastated by Hurricane Katrina, suffered governmental corruption, and its aging infrastructure is worn down by the thousands of rowdy tourists who visit the city for Mardi Gras. But despite this, Wayne has never abandoned his city. Though you can find hundreds of New Orleans references throughout his discography, few tracks speak to Wayne's love for his city like Tie My Hands on the Carter 3. In fact, he references the frequent abandonment the city faces, from its basketball team to its mayor. Wayne laments, quote, "All we got is me to represent New Orleans." Besides being the modern face of New Orleans, Wayne has quickly done a lot for the city. Over the years, he's donated millions of dollars to improving infrastructure, such as rebuilding his favorite childhood park after the devastation of Hurricane Katrina. And finally, Wayne's relentless representation of the city has allowed several other art forms to flourish, such as the musical subgenre bounce, which regained significant interest in the mid-2010s. So which rapper do you think puts on for their city the most? Let me know in the comments below. And before you leave, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to our channel.